Darian, I would be even shocked if you can go through. What was your favorite football video game that you played?
Oh, wow.
Even going back as a kid, because we were talking to Kent Majuri in hour one, and he said he's got tight game on Madden 1992, which I think was Genesis. It might have been a Super Nintendo, but I think Tecmo Bowl is off the charts. But then in Madden and PlayStation, the first generation, those Maddens, those were good as well. I don't know which one, and maybe I'll let you answer and then think about it for a bit. But there's never a perfect season. There's never perfect football games. As a Patriots fan, I saw the perfect season except for the Super Bowl. That wasn't a good season. There was ups and downs. There was ugly wins. There was you just won. You won football games. So for the Riders to be 3-0 right now, maybe, as I said, it's not a Picasso, but they're 3-0.
Exactly. It's all about getting it done, right? I mean, especially on the road. And like I said a couple weeks ago, it's not easy to go out east and just win football games. You have to deal with travel, guys who have small injuries, the swelling, it flares up when you take these long flights. There's all type of things you have to take into account when you take these long road trips. So it doesn't matter how you get it done. The objective is to be 1-0 after each and every week, and the Riders have done that. We don't care if it's ugly. We don't care how pretty it is. We don't care if it's overtime. It doesn't matter the weather. These guys won a football game, and that's all that matters. That's the objective. At the end of the season, when you're looking at the standings and you're fighting for position and home field advantage, it doesn't matter, or it doesn't say how you won. It just says whether you won or lost, and they got the job done, and that's all that matters.
One of the big storylines coming out of the game, and it was a little tough to watch at times, a lot of penalties. I think 307 yards worth of penalties. When you played, that's got to be frustrating because it kills any kind of flow and momentum you've got going.
No doubt, and especially the ones that are just discipline-based, right? I mean, guys want to fight with helmets on and taking cheap shots after the whistle and, retaliation against quarterbacks. And, it's just dirty football that's going on. A lot of those penalties, it's just about discipline. So you best believe, I know Ryan Dinwiddie personally, and I know Coach Mace. So you best believe that in these team meetings, they're holding these guys accountable because you make a stupid mistake and a bad penalty. Not only could you cost guys, the game, but, their livelihoods are at stake. If you lose a game because of a dumb penalty and it ends up keeping you out of the playoffs, and then, that team is not together at the end of the season, you can look back directly on some of those plays and say that this is the reason why you lost your job. And that's not a good thing to have to look back on.
I don't know if you saw it. Again, I listened to the game and then I happened to see the clip. The Del Duncan Busby, the low kind of chop block, low bridge hit there. I was equating it to when Chris Harris from Denver got low bridge by that guy from the Titans at one year. Super dirty. Aqib Talib went off. You see a play like that, and I know it's football. It happens. What are you seeing there? What are your comments on that?
You know what? Duncan Busby doesn't, seem like a dirty football player. So I don't want to give him that label. When Chris Getzlaff and Scott McHenry used to come across the line and have to block these defensive backs and defensive ends, it's kind of hard to judge whether you're in the box or outside of the box when the game is moving so fast. So I know what that play is supposed to look like. I think that Duncan Busby was anticipating the defender to be in the box because that's the only time you can go low. So I don't want to label him a dirty player, but that was a dirty play, and it's just unfortunate because you can see the defender never saw that coming, and of course his season is gone after that, and you just never know the lingering effects of a knee injury like that.
When you go back and if something like that happened with you, maybe it did in all your career, college, pro. Would your head be on a swivel, being like, oh, they're coming, retribution?
Absolutely. I mean, you have to learn from your mistakes, and I'm sure if I'm unsure of his name at the moment, but if he ever gets back 100% healthy, he'll never not protect his legs in a box situation or when he sees a receiver coming at him. So Unfortunately, he has to learn in this aspect. But sometimes that's just part of the game, and brutal injuries like that, they happen sometimes.
Couple of the bright spots in the game. Donnie Myers went off. He had his best game as a Rider. We've been talking about him for 2 seasons, just becoming just dependable. And then that crossing route for the touchdown. But there was a certain play in the first half. And we're showing the Donnie Myers touchdown here. And Darian, to me, it was one of the most important plays of the first half. It may not make any of the highlight reels, but it gave the Riders what they needed, was the chance to keep a drive going. It was that ball down the sideline to Mitch Picton in traffic, and he goes up and he gets it, and he keeps that drive going. Doesn't turn out to be the game-changing play of the game, but it was so important at the time to keep the Rider momentum going. And that's what I love about Picton. He doesn't get the ball off him, but what he does, he's the Getzlaff that you had. Like, we need a play. Absolutely. I got to go to somebody. It's Mitch.
It's huge, man. Mitch, I joked with him a long time ago, but Mitch is Mr. Reliable. I mean, it doesn't matter if he's in and out of the lineup. He always shows up to practice. He's a hard worker. And when his number is called, he makes the plays. And you have to look at the defensive back that he caught that on, too. Like, Franklin is one of the best DBs in the league, coming off a huge Grey Cup game and playoff run last year where he was just getting interceptions left and right. So for Mitch to make that play, not only was it a huge play for the Riders, but it could build that trust between him and Trevor, that whenever Trevor's in trouble or he may need a play, Mitch is a guy you can count on. So just kudos to him, being in and out of the lineup. I know that's tough, but he's just a consummate pro. Whenever his number's called, he just seems to make play after play. So big shout out to Mitch. That was a huge play for the Riders.
The Mario Alford walk-off at the end, and Barney and I chatted earlier in the show. These are the games that we used to lose. We would have tied the game and then lost on the walk-off. Now that's us doing that to the other team. It's kind of nice to see things come full circle a little bit, because the Riders have been on the wrong end of that. How deflating if you're the Argos. Like, you claw back in after everything, and Dinwiddie gets it together, and he was playing some decent football, and they're all of that, and just the dagger. And I'm like, I know there was 23 seconds left, but that game was as good as over. I just think that just was the pin in the balloon that would have sunk the Argos ship.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, to make a drive, the way Arbuckle just led the team down the field, took what the defense gave him. I mean, you have to kudos to him for just keeping the drives alive and making plays all the way down the field. But, that's just the Riders' resilience. I mean, even though they gave up a long drive to tie the game, they knew it wasn't over. And when you have a guy like Mario Alford back there, we all know he's a threat to score anytime he touches the rock. He's proven that year after year. And, it just shows you that this team has no quit. They don't get down. They made mistakes, but they just didn't give up. They had each other's back. Trevor threw an interception, early in the fourth quarter when they were backed up. That gave Toronto some momentum, and the team just kept fighting and just kept playing. So, that's just about coaching. That's coaching. That's always having your guys ready. That's the special teams unit knowing that they have a guy that can score from anywhere on the field. So whenever you have a guy like that, I remember having Jason Armstead and playing with Corey Holmes and Tristan Jackson, some of the best returners in the league. And whenever you have guys like that can get a chance to touch the ball, you go all out on your blocks, and coaches emphasize that. So that's just a great job out of special teams and the coaching staff. Just having those guys ready, and when you know that you have a guy that can take it the distance, it gives you that extra, push that you need.
We talked with Mike Hogan, the Argos play-by-play guy, last week, and he talked about there was going to be 6 or 7 changes to the Argos starting lineup. And we asked him, okay, who do you think's going to go off? Who's not a household name yet? He said Kevin Mittal, who was the first-round draft pick from Laval, who set all sorts of records in CIS. He had a good game, and you can see him starting to emerge. What else did you see out of Toronto that you liked? Because they did. They played some good football. And Arbuckle, that was his best game of the season, I thought. He battled. And it wasn't always easy for him, but they showed some guts with what 7 or 8 starters out of the lineup to give the Riders pretty much all they could handle.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, just for those guys to fight like they did without key guys in the lineup. I mean, DeVaris Daniels and McManus, Grey Cup champions, multiple Grey Cup championships they have. And for them to just fight without those guys, new guys on the roster, a whole bunch of rookies, the D-line kept fighting. So I saw some signs of fight from the Toronto Argonauts. And, I mean, that stems from their head coach. And I know him personally, like I said. So, it's just unfortunate. They don't have Chad Kelly yet. I think when you get Chad Kelly back, you now have a quarterback with a bigger arm. He can stretch the field. There are more plays to be made out there for the receiver. So I think that when Chad Kelly gets back, you'll see a different type of Argo offense. It's more ball control now with Nick Arbuckle, but when Chad Kelly comes back, you'll see more down the field throws, more sideline throws, and it'll change the offensive game plan for the Argos. But I just want to see the defense step up. I mean, the DBs were there. Franklin probably had if you look at all the touchdown passes, pretty much they were against him, all the big plays. So I know he's looking forward to getting back on the practice field and correcting some of the things that he did wrong. But I wouldn't count Toronto out. Their record doesn't show it, but they've been fighting. And like I said, when Chad Kelly gets back, I think they'll turn the corner, so to speak.
What's your take on this? The Riders have tied a team record for fewest sacks allowed after 3 games. 2. Like, with all the talk of the offensive line injuries and, guys coming in and then now they're injured, all that. As a former QB, what's your thoughts on that? That's an impressive number.
First and foremost, I have to look at A.J. Ouellette and look at the run game and look at the production on first down. And, the respect that defenses have to show him the way he's running the ball, it opens up that play action. You're seeing a lot more RPO action, which is, you fake the handoff, quick throws from Trevor, getting the ball out of his hands. And that's all about the defense coming up and having to stop the run game. So, we see A.J. Ouellette's offseason plan paying off. He's breaking long runs. He's still showing that he has the strength to fall forward. It's not a lot of second and long situations where Trevor has to just sit back and throw the ball down the field and become a sitting duck back there, right? He's able to use the play action game. You're in second and medium. Now you don't have to throw the ball as far down the field. So just a great job by the Rider O-line of opening up holes, and A.J. Ouellette is just making it happen on first down. And whenever you got a guy that can put you in second and short and second and medium situations, the defense, they have to guess. And you can't just tee off on the quarterback.
BC Lions come to town on Saturday. For argument's sake, let's say Nathan Rourke is your starting quarterback. He's his own. What else do you like about BC? Rourke aside, what else do you like about BC? They played Winnipeg as tough as they could on Saturday with Jeremiah Masoli as quarterback. What do you like about BC that may give the Riders a little bit of trouble on the weekend?
You know what? I like the combo of Mark Benavides and Ryan Phillips calling the defense. I think that as long as you have those guys with the experience they have, and those guys coaching the back end, you'll always have a chance. So I think BC's secondary and defense will always have them in games. They'll always make plays. And it'll make it tough for the Riders. We'll see, how Nathan Rourke is later on in the week and see if he's able to play. I'm not really worried about their offense. I think that the Riders' defense can do some good things against BC's offense. So, if anything, I think BC's defense is their strong point at the moment. And, we'll see how the Rider pass game and run game matches up against those guys.
We don't know how bad it is, but if anybody that's tweaked an oblique which as a quarterback, Darian, is that something that you think we're going to give it another week, maybe another 2 weeks? Because that's just, you're twisting and you're doing, it's so important.
Yeah. I mean, look, I wouldn't call this a must win, but I think for BC, they need Rourke to play. They need this game. I think he'll do everything in his power to play. This is a huge stage. And this game is very meaningful. So I think they'll shoot him up, freeze him up, and make sure he's ready to go. Even though it's a tough injury to overcome as a quarterback, the way Winnipeg's showing that they're still going to be one of the tougher teams. Calgary's a little bit better this year. And you look at the Riders, I don't think BC can afford to fall behind too far in the standings or they'll get left behind. So this is a game I think they have to have, and he's going to fight through it and play this week.
All right. It is Double Talk with Darian for Campbell Safety Consulting. Let's get into it now. What are your initial takeaways from Luke Wilson's tweet and the pot stirring there?
You know what? I think he has some good points. It's just that when you're dealing with 1-year contracts now, and guys are in and out and roster, there's so much change in rosters. It's hard for fans to kind of engage and have something or a player to follow or have something to look forward to. So I think that is part of the reason why there's a lack of fanfare in Toronto. And at the same time, this is Toronto. I mean, there's never been a huge fan base. Well, ever since my time in the league, I know back in the day, the Dome used to be full, before I came to the league. But if you just look at the last 20 years, it's just Toronto. And with the Raptors and the Blue Jays and the Leafs, I just think it's tough to compete in that city. And if you don't have any marquee names, you don't have any guys with tenure, guys who've been there, guys who fans love coming to see each and every week, a guy who's been there 5 years where you can buy a jersey and feel like he won't leave the next year because he's on a 1-year deal. I think all these things come into play. So, I wasn't a fan for the players. Of course, I was a fan of the 1-year deal. But when you look at it from a fan's perspective, it's tough to engage. It's tough to be loyal when you go and you spend $200 on a jersey of your favorite player. He's on a 1-year deal. He leaves the next year, and it kind of just it takes you out. You're not as excited to go to the game. So I think that has something to do with it. But, it was sad to see. I didn't like to see the empty stadium. And I think I heard you guys speaking on Edmonton. I think it's just a trickle-down effect. Whenever you don't have guys who you can look forward to going and check out each and every week, then it makes it hard for a fan to commit.
You need the Micah Johnson no name bar jersey. Right? Just generic stuff when he would go play offensive line. Okay, I need an honest answer from you, because another thing that Luke Willson was talking about was the end of the game and, the check downs in the CFL compared to the NFL where you can have a 2-minute drive. No, I said NFL can have some really boring finishes too. If it's out of, 2 minutes, it's kneel down fest. What do you prefer? Honest question.
Look, I'm a quarterback and I'm a former player, so it's whatever you have to do. I don't care if it's ugly. I think he's speaking from an entertainment perspective, and I get that. But it's all about winning games, and I'm sure that guys who get paid and whose livelihood depends on wins and losses, I'm sure they're not complaining about how ugly the game is or what's going on or how you make a play. Look, checkdowns are a part of the game. If you're in a situation where defenses are just sitting back and daring you to take the underneath throw, then you just have to take it as a quarterback. We have a job too, and our job isn't to throw it to the other team, right? So if you have nine guys sitting back in coverage and the running back is the only guy open, well, you have to throw it to the open guy. So, I understand. And like I said, he's coming from an entertainment perspective. And when the game isn't as entertaining, fans seem to, die down and die out a little bit. So I understand that. It's just a tough situation to be in on both sides. But look, it's all about wins and losses. And, it's also Toronto, like I said. So maybe if Toronto can look at some guys and sign some guys to a 3, 4, 5-year deal, something that's unheard of now. But maybe that's a way to get some fans locked in and get them to commit long-term to the team.
One of my points to Luke, and we mentioned this earlier in the show, Luke, the Rider-Argo game was the best game of the 4 of the week. The other ones, that wasn't awesome football, okay? All of those games were pretty much done. Well, BC and Montreal, or Winnipeg and Montreal, had those games by the second quarter. That Calgary, Ottawa, that was a dud because of the weather and then just some bad play, speaking of throwing into 9 coverage. But Luke, that was the best game of the week. So
no doubt. And then I guarantee that if it was 30,000 fans out there, it would have been a lot more exciting in his perspective. You know, I think the crowd has something to do with it as well. I mean, there were some big plays in that game. There were very exciting plays even before the Mario Alford return. I mean, Dante Myers had a couple great plays, a huge slant that he took about 70 yards. So you look at the way Toronto fought back and, just kept clawing, and the mistakes late. You know, there were exciting plays in that game. I think he's kind of zoning in on one or two drives, but at the same time, man, look, big plays happen in every game. I would much rather a 39-32 game than a 10-3 football game, something like you would get in the NFL.
All right. We've been doing this. We've had you on now. Third week we're going to do that. What's your pick the score? What do you got? Lions, Riders, what are you going with?
Yeah, I'm going with the Riders. I think this will be more of a dogfight. I'm looking at a 24-17 game for the Riders. I think that it'll be a little bit low scoring. You know, like I said, Benavides, Phillips together, they don't give up a lot of big plays. Now they have some film on the Riders, and whenever you can get three games of game film, now you have more of an idea of what teams like to do. So I think this will be a chess match more so than a shootout, and that's why I think it'll be more of a low-scoring game. All
right, we got it.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your favorite? I still need you to answer. What was your favorite football video game was?
Tecmo Bowl. I had the wife order me a system with all the old Nintendo games on it last Christmas, so I still play Tecmo Bowl to this day.
Super Tecmo Bowl or the original with like Bo Jackson, which was cheating?
Both. Both.
Okay.
I love them both.
If you come around Labor Day again, we'll get the NES system out. We're gonna have a game.
Let's do it.
And your boy Shedeur. Your boy Shedeur Sanders, the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. Now, are you going to have to go?
As soon as I give him his props and talk up on him, I know. Now he wants to go speeding in Ohio. I don't get it.
I know. You're probably going to have to fly to his court date and post bond. Maybe Dad doesn't show. Then there's a guy with a checkbook out saying, Shedeur, come on. I made this bold prediction on a Saskatchewan radio station. You're going to... We can't have you arrested and behind bars for speeding twice in a week.
I know, man. I know. Twice. It's crazy.
Twice.
That's still one of the hottest takes of the year. I can't wait to that week one. If Shedeur's even in the lineup, let alone starting. That'll be.
I know, he's got to get his act together for sure.
All right, Darian. Next week we'll get to recap Riders and Lions. Have a good week, my man. Stay safe.
Sounds good. Later, guys.
Right on.